what is really broken in the industry, how we can prepare the designers for the future.
Main problem that we need to solve is about how can they learn what's going to impact the real world design solutioning. They are just designing the screen, but they don't know the reasoning behind it.
What do you think, which are some of the most common misses in freshers?
Extreme ownership. I have designed this screen, my job is done. No, that's not the job of the designer. Your job is to go and find out the end outcomes of the design.
How do you think the next couple of years are going to look like with AI and design coming together?
I don't think that design job, especially in the product design, is going to vanish with AI. It's going to empower us.
How do you go about hiring? How has your team been structured? Hey Raman, thanks for joining us today. We are building something really remarkable at Masters Union. This is going to be a PGP in product design and UI UX, which is going to be a game changer, which is designed to be something that is relevant for where the industry is headed over the next decade. And you yourself having built and scaled teams, especially at ET Money from almost like last 7 years, would want to know from you, from your lens, that what is really broken in the industry, and how we can prepare the designers for the future, and how to make sure that we guide students in a way that they're able to secure jobs, maybe start with their own consulting operations businesses, and not be afraid of what is going to come with the coming of AI today, and roles being changed so frequently, the titles being changed so frequently. What do you think is the secret sauce that is going to make a course really interesting and really successful?
Thanks for having me, Akshit. So first, let's start with the structured way, the way we will pull this conversation. So talk about what are the gap currently, right, that we are facing in the design industry. So I don't think it's about the biggest gap is about the skill set. It's about the decision making capability that we are facing in a day to day life with the designer that is coming from the college or the framework college, we can say the workshop that they are getting from the industry. So I don't focus on that currently. If we'll talk about the design that is broken, so see, real design is very messy. What we do in the job in the real world, it's very different what we learn in the college or any workshop based college or workshop based any industry, right? So main problem that we need to solve is about how can they learn what's going to impact the real world design solutioning. That is very important. We should focus on that part, right? And also there are two kind of segments here. One who is switching their career from a different domain to design, and the other is who is coming from the educational design background, right? That is also important. We'll have to focus on both the segment in a different way, or we can say the curriculum should be in the same way, but we need to tackle both the segment here.
Correct. So I think a very interesting point that you have raised, that we have very different learner profiles, right? We have some people who are coming right out of design colleges. They have the tools, they have the skill sets, but they generally struggle with the experience of having deep product thinking, having some fundamental decision making abilities, right? Whereas, as you mentioned, the second learner profile, it are career switches, right? People who might come from analytical background, people who might come from engineering background, like yourself, right? And so they generally lack a structured fundamental exposure to design fundamentals,
Right.
right? So I think the course is fundamentally for these two profiles, and to close the gap between them, and to make sure that people who go out of the course, they're able to have that particular craft logic and business and impact understanding. That is something that we're trying to
Right.
deliver through
So
this course.
one more thing here, we should also talk about the problem here. Like for the who is coming from the college or who is switching the career, right? Who is coming from the college, they have a portfolio, right? They have designed the portfolio, but the portfolios is a kind of ready-made framework. They have learned somewhere or they had been taught from somewhere that you should follow this step. What's the main thing that is missing? Why have you done this? The answer would be very shallow. When you will talk to those people while doing the interview, they lack the clarity behind it. They are just designing the screen, but they don't know the reasoning behind it, the decision making that we call it in the real world, that you'll have to define the real problem statement and then you can take a decision, right? Whereas in the career switcher, they have the structured formulation, the way they work in the real world. But what is missing there is about the craft, the design and the craft, that understanding of user empathy, that is missing because they have worked in the hyperpurpose environment where they know how to solve the problem, but they miss some kind of user empathy. So that is also important while addressing both the segment, right?
I think with a very interesting point again that you have raised about hiring, right?
Yeah.
And I would like to know more deeply about how do you take these decisions while you hire at ET Money? Do you hire freshers out of the college? Do you train them and help them grow with yourself? And or do you what kind of profiles are you hiring for? How the profiles have grown over the years, right? As you remember, when we joined the industry, people used to call the profile as web designer,
Yeah, UI
right?
designer.
And then UI UX, and then product, and now
Correct.
product builders,
Yeah.
right? Someone who knows the craft in the design department, but also someone who can manage from product thinking level,
Right.
someone who have very basic understanding of research, and they can independently create small features, suggest improvements in the flows, understand data, right? So how do you go about hiring? How has your team been structured? And would love to have 2 cents from your
So
side.
at so where I work at ET Money, right? Take up design at ET Money. So at ET Money, we don't hire people based on some certain titles, right? So we don't have any importance from the title point of view. What we look forward from people when we talk to them is the mindset of finding a solution as well. Currently, there are a lot of cures in the industry that you need to talk about problem, but it's not about just problem. You need to figure out the solution. You have been hired in any company to solve the problem, not to create the problem also. Core thing is about you can define what is the real problem, but at the end, you'll have to solve a problem, right? So when we hire people, what we look forward is the mindset to find the solution. The other thing also, how can you bring the clarity between the ambiguity, right? So in the real world, there are a lot of ambiguity with the other stakeholder. When you talk to business, there are different problem statement. When you talk to engineer, you learn how to clean the how should I put it? Like when talking to engineer, there are a lot of constraint, right? You
Yes.
have to clear the constraint while doing the design. That's very important. While we hire people, when we talk to them in the fresher, right? So one thing is also very clear for us that in design, we do hire people from college, and they are very into the challenge we are facing, that they are focusing a lot on the screen design, right? They just want to jump on the designing the screen. But for us, it's not about that. It's about finding the right problem and then go for the solutioning phase. That's important, right? Since you mentioned about our journey, right? So I have done the mechanical engineering. I have learned some bit of design, but what we learned in the college, we can't directly implement in the design industry because that's very ideal scenario. But in the real world, it changes a lot. So I think yeah, there are a lot of uh, pros and cons, but you learned along the journey.
So I think again, very important point that there is a gap between what is being taught and what is needed in the industry. There are a lot of things like problem framing, business thinking, right? Maybe collaboration with the tech team, right? And overall, just a maybe fear of ownership in the initial stage, right?
Hmm.
So what most programs today are designed, I think they reward outputs more and not outcomes,
Yeah.
right? They are designed in a very structured and safe manner,
Yep.
and you don't really get to do the hard grunt work of making the project work together with the real stakeholders.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that we want to change through this course, and we want to bring in a way of teaching where people directly work with industry leaders like yourself, instead of having someone who with a set curriculum coming in and delivering lectures which doesn't have updated content, but having someone like yourself coming into the classroom, showing the case studies that you have actually worked upon, the difference that you have created in your company, the methods that you have created. I think that will be really
Yeah.
game changing, right?
So the main thing here, Akshit, that when someone is coming from the industry, what they can teach you is the consequences, right? When you
Yes.
learn from the design college, it's not about consequence.
Correct.
There are the set of framework that they will teach you, just follow it and you will get the result. Whereas in the real world, we can talk about what happens when something goes wrong, right? That's very important. What happens when you when something gets delay also, right? That is very important. When what happens when you over design it, right? What happens you do a lot of design stuff that is not going to happen in the real world engineer, right? They are not going to fix it. They are not going to design it. That's very important to learn. And also, what happens when you ignore the engineering constraint? That's very, very important, I feel. The other thing we should also learn about, we should also focus actually what's going to happen, that the real world people can teach about what's going to happen next from the point of view for the designer who is going to learn that design doesn't work in isolation, right? So in the industry, you'll have to always collaborate with the other people, and they can teach you that how to connect with other stakeholder and take a right alignment with everybody.
I think that's a wonderful point, and that brings me to the next topic of having some real consequences of things that you design, right? So what we do very differently here is that we have set of courses which are taught in class. We also have some live examples which we call as outclass programs, where students take some real life projects and they work with industry leaders as yourself, getting the opportunity to work with product managers inside real companies, with the tech teams closely and with design teams as well. And these are not hypothetical briefs. These are some real fun features that they see being going live. They So what does it do? What it does is that it brilliantly brings out a portfolio for a student, which is much more deeper, having some real numbers to showcase, having products which have gone live, and to have that confidence when later they go inside the industry, to have that insight of how functioning design teams really
Yeah,
work,
yeah.
right?
That's very
So
important. Yeah.
what do you think
I
about
think
this?
from my perspective, real project changes designer. Absolutely. I have seen people that they have worked on the kind of project in the college, and when they work in the real world as an intern also, when you're coming and joining as an intern, when we give the real problem, the output is very different. Also the passion, when you do the real work, you can see the difference, you can see the real difference. So that's very important. And the other thing, when you work with the real user, you realize how wrong your assumption can be,
Yeah.
right? That's very important, that whenever you assume while designing, it's not going to sure that it's going to be right, right? It can be wrong, it can be right. When you work with the real engineer, you understand the constraint. When you
Yes.
work with the business people, you understand how decision can be changed so easily, right? It's so malleable that decision can change any point of time, and you need to be very sure that what's going to happen next, and you have to design based on that assumption.
Adaptability.
Adaptability is very
Yes.
important, right? Obviously you will get the real data, real behavior of the user. It's not just you are designing for someone and someone is going to use it, right? So you will feel that changes while designing, and at the same time you will change your design based on the feedback that you are getting. So that's important. Yeah.
Having that
Huh.
real feedback from real users, I
Yeah.
think that is game changer.
It's a game changer. It's
Yes.
not game changer. Also, it's emphasize on your hypothesis, that whatever
Yes.
you have assumed, it's not always going to be right, and you
Yeah.
will have to be very adaptive. Okay, I have thought it. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay, totally okay to be wrong, because most of the time, what's the friction that we are finding? Designer feels whatever I have designed
Is
is
the best.
the written thing on the stone, right? That's not going to happen. You will have to be adaptive based on the
I'm sure
feedback.
we all have experienced this,
Yeah, yeah.
that
We have
real
been
data
seen, we have
humbles
seen.
you
Yeah,
very
yeah,
quickly.
yeah, yeah. 100%.
Correct. Raman, I just wanted to talk to you about some common gaps that we have seen in new joinees, right, over the years. You have worked with a lot of new joinees, mentored a lot of them right out of college in their internship days, and helped them to grow and get product designer roles, right? And you have groomed some of them to become like some top notch designers in your company as well. So what do you think, which are some of the most common misses that you see in freshers? Something like very simple, like weak problem framing, right? How what are these things and how do you cope up with them, and how do you think a curriculum like this can help to overcome these?
Correct. So you mentioned about weak problem defining, right? I think the reason behind is that most of the time you think from the point of solution first thinking. If someone has give you the problem, you'll just jump on the solutioning. And that's the problem I feel. Ki whenever you will jump on the design solutioning, that's not going to work all the time, and there is a problem with that. So designer directly jump on the UI design without understanding the real problem, and that's the kind of, they feel that's the activity in the process, right? It's I am doing this, and that we will achieve something. That's the wrong thing. Another big gap, what I believe and what I feel and what I face actually is an extreme ownership. So we are rarely finding high agency person, and that's the problem. So extreme ownership, but they feel that, okay, look, I have designed this screen, my job is done. No, that's not the job of the designer. Your job is to go and see what's happening next, find out the end outcomes of the design, right? That's your real job. The job doesn't end at the designing a single screen. Your job ends at the final outcomes, right? And the last option, I feel, the business context, right? They design most of the time in the isolation, right? And we have seen it that when you will give any kind of problem statement, they just go and design it and that's done. So business context is missing. We need to also focus on the business context, right? That's important. And also we can say that real world design is not about decoration. When you work in any company, it's not about just decorating something. It's about solving the core problem that business is facing, and our job is to solve that business problem while designing, right, for the business as well as the user. So that's the core thing I would say that is we are facing currently, that uh, you guys can do better than that, right? That
Sure.
providing the real context to solve the problem, define the right problem, as well as giving the full context and collaborate with the business guy and understand the constraint. And based on that understanding, we should design.
Totally
That's
makes
important.
sense. I think having knowledge of certain frameworks
Yeah,
academically,
yeah, yeah.
but doing real
You should
work,
apply those framework. See,
exactly.
everybody learns the framework,
But
but how will you apply?
how will you?
See, what I have also learned, I have somebody had told me that result without research is not going to work.
Yeah.
So in the college, most of the time we do the research just for the sake of doing it. The output is not very important because it doesn't matter there.
Yeah.
But in the industry, when you are working on any kind of research or user research, any kind of research, if there are no result after the research, then what's the point of doing it? You should always have a very keen on that. What are you looking for? So that's important. I mean, you will combine both the thing, classroom program and the real world program, right? You will learn the framework. You will try to achieve those results with those framework while doing the real world scenario. So that's going to kind of have a alignment between these two.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah,
Totally agree to you on
yeah.
that. And again, I think having this opportunities to work on Outlast programs,
Yeah, that's the
that
important
is
thing.
the
Yeah,
game
because
changer
you will
where,
learn here in the classroom,
yes,
and then you will go and apply all those framework in the real world.
yes. And there is something that, what collaboration teaches us, with
Yeah,
nothing else
yeah,
teaches us.
yeah, yeah.
So having that opportunity to work with teams across tech, product,
Mm.
analytics, we will be, the students will be able to have that exposure to work with
Yeah.
collaboration and to work with constraints,
Mm.
right? I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's the new thing that students will encounter while doing in the college. They don't encounter with the real world people, right? The other stakeholder of the industry. That's very important.
So I think designers need to be, become comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Yeah,
So
design. The first job of the designer to be uncomfortable. Start saying no. Start being uncomfortable. Start talking to people, and it's okay to be wrong. Most of the time, they feel that I am the right person. Whatever I am saying, it should make sense, and that is the right thing. That is not right. You should be uncomfortable. Someone else can be designer. Someone else can be product thinker as well. You just need to understand their perspective, and based on their perspective, try to refine your solutioning. That is
yes.
important.
I
I think, yeah.
think sometimes people do work under time constraints, right? But someone who does not negate the importance of doing user research in the long term always benefits the companies.
Every company would have different framework. Every company would have different business challenges. Wherever the research is required, you will have to do it. You can't say ki research is not required. Also, you can't say research is critically important all the time,
Yes,
right? It's important. There is no doubt in that. But you can't say ki I have learned the framework that I need to do the research, so I'm going to do it. No,
correct.
it's not required. Understand what is required. Based on that understanding, do the next step.
I think being able to understand is the secret sauce of where to go all in
Yeah,
and where to
yeah,
restrain
yeah.
yourself.
That judgment, what I
Correct.
was telling you in the beginning, that judgment is very important. What is right and what is wrong, and when to take a what decision. That learning is very important. And I believe you can learn all this stuff from the industry people who has worked and who knows how to take a decision based on certain assumption, understanding. So I think, yeah.
Really interesting point again. And so, moving on to the the buzzword AI
AI,
in
yeah.
design, right? And we have all talked about it
Huh.
just before this conversation. We were talking about this. How has AI, helped you, helped the team, grown, maybe increasing the efficiency, reducing the redundant tasks that people
Hmm.
invest time in, maybe documentation, things
Yeah.
like that, and making presentations. A lot of time as designers we have to do that for the stakeholders. How do you think AI platform system designing, just yourself coming from complex fintech flows, and you have handled it, you have created apps which millions of users
Yeah.
currently use. How do you think the next couple of years are going to look like with
Hmm.
AI and design coming together?
So it's a very, very interesting question to answer. And also, people are talking about AI, how it's going to change the design, right? One thing is very sure, I would like to focus because it's a lot of question behind it that after AI, that product design job will go or what. I don't think that design job or any job is going to, especially in the product design, is going to vanish with AI. No, it's going to empower us 100%. It helps a lot while doing any kind of problem, right? So what going to happen after AI? Our job will change in a different fashion. We will think more from the system point of view. Currently, whatever we design is very linear. Most of the time, you design just flow from X to Y.
Yeah.
When the AI will come in the picture, in the real AI world, our flow will change. Our thinking process will change. We'll have to think more from the 360-degree, right? So there won't be linear flow. So for example, when we design something, currently AI is a very chatbot process, right? You ask and the AI respond based on your assumption or the question, right? When the we will implement in the real world, especially in finance, what happens that there are a lot of data and a lot of queries based on the data. We'll have to make sure we are providing all the right answer to the queries, along with whatever we are providing is an ethical,
Yeah.
right? So two things very sure for the designer. One, you will have to be a very ethical thinker. Second, you are thinking from the system point of view, right? That's the two key differentiator for any product designer to have it from the AI perspective. When you talk about the productivity, obviously it's going to help you. It's just give you the kickstart. Let's suppose
Yes.
when you are doing any kind of product design, earlier you used to talk multiple people to get the basic alignment, or not alignment, the basic research we call it, right?
Yes.
That what happens next, how should be the process, what is the key object of this problem statement, right? You can directly talk to the AI as a primary research. That's going to help you a lot. So it's a time saving for sure. uh, at my organization, we are not doing a lot of documentation from AI because it's we can easily do it because we're a small organization, but it helps in the primary research
Yeah.
for sure. So that's the use that we are currently having it.
Again, I think adding to your point that the taste and
Ah, the other craft.
the
So the
craft of
one
the
thing is,
industry will
yeah.
always
So
remain
one
with the
thing is very
designer.
sure. Whatever the AI is going to do, who is going to decide what is right and what is wrong, right? And how will you decide which is beautiful and which is not beautiful, right?
Correct.
So designer's job is not to just design the flow. If we are here to define what is going to create some kind of wow moment, aha moment, that is also our job. One thing I am very particular as a design person, and that my philosophy. This is my moral job to design a good product. It's not something ki I have designed it, it's okay, it's fine. No, that's my moral job. If people are going to see it, they should feel that, oh, what a design. Not about from the viewing perspective, but also from the flow perspective. So, for example, I don't know, when we go to airport, any airport, we are very tech savvy, so we know what is where. But most of the times, you will see people are looking like like that. Ki where is what? Right? That's very important. So, as a designer, that is our job to create a best experience for any kind of customer, and that's why we are here, right? To define what is good, what is ugly, and what is bad.
Such a beautiful point, and I think a lot of designers do in the initial part of their career. A lot of emphasis is given on the visual aspect,
Yeah,
but over the time, developing that hard skill of being able to fight for the user,
yeah,
it's I think really really important
yep,
and
yep,
really appreciated in the industry. And
yes,
people who do that, they solve real problems, and
correct.
they are able to grow in the industry very quickly. So, just from your experience of over 10 years now, how do you think someone entering the industry today what will be some advice from your end for them, what to focus on? Focus on the tools, focus on the craft, focus on the the AI aspects coming in. So there are such a bundles of tool that we have today, right? Every day is changing. So before you were having one skill
Hmm.
that used to serve you for 7 years, right? That time has
Correct.
reduced to 2 years.
Yeah.
So what will be some advice for the budding designers which you think will be important
Yeah,
for
there
them?
are two skill set here. One is soft skill, another is the hard skill. Hard skill you can learn at any point of time. It's important. There is no doubt that if I don't know Figma, I can design. There are other tool I can learn and I can design. But you'll have to learn one tool at least to
Yes.
design and to showcase your creativity and thinking process. That's very important. And everybody knows that tool is important. So I won't focus on the tool for the time being. Let's focus on the soft skill. What's happening currently? Most of the time, designers are trying to please themselves or someone else. I don't believe in that. Stop pleasing people. Try to be the problem thinker and the solutioning provider, right? That is very important. Second aspect here is ki when you are defining the right problem within the team, automatically people will start listening to you, right? What's happening currently? People say that hey, in my organization, design is not getting valued. It's not getting valued because people are not seeing from that lens. Everybody is saying design is important. We should design something that is very clean, very clear. But when you will design it, people says okay, our communication, our philosophy is not coming. So what I try to explain people, try to refine the right problem, work on those problem, and get it done. People will start respecting the design decisioning, and also it comes with the maturity, right? Over the period you will learn, you will get the thinking process, and then you can do it, right? So that is the flow, I think.
So I think having getting early guidance in the career,
Yeah.
having that right setup from the college days, I think all of this really impacts
Hmm.
how you enter the
Yeah,
industry,
yeah.
how quickly you grow. So I think that is something that we are trying to build at Masters Union
Nice.
as well. Some skill, some muscle in the designers that the industry really wants to work with these people, and they become highly employable. And maybe if later people want to start with their own consulting operations, right? So something that gives them both an edge from real industry examples to the required tools and skill set that are needed as well to begin with. So just wanted to get your closing arguments, like what are your closing thoughts about the industry? And uh, you mentioned a really important point, right? Having a seat at the table for the design.
Yeah.
And I have been a advocate for the same fact, right? Wherever I've worked, I've made sure that we have been able to show the value of design,
Yeah.
and it is really tough,
Yeah, it's
right?
tough. It's
It's
tough.
tough. It's not
You'll
that
have to
easy.
convince the people.
You
You'll
have
have
to
to
convince,
define.
you have to
Yeah,
show real business growth.
yeah.
And if you don't show real business growth, and if you say that we have made the thing visually pleasing, and we
It's
have
not going to work.
it's not going to work at the long game. So if someone who is working very closely with the stakeholders,
Hmm.
business stakeholders, and if you're able to understand their problem,
Yeah.
sit with the customer,
Correct.
listen to hundreds of call recordings
Yep. Yep.
of customer
Yeah.
complaints, go through them, analyze them, synthesize them,
Yeah.
and then create some product features which really solve someone's problem.
Correct.
I think that is going to be
That
game
is, yeah,
changing,
that
right?
is going to be a game changer.
That
Yeah.
is going to be game changing. So I think that is the real difference that we want to build here at Masters Union,
Yeah.
to have that ability, and to have leaders who have worked in the industry, having combined experience of almost 400 to 500 years of all of that industry experience coming in, and being taught to you, you working directly with them, they're telling you the secret sauce of how things work in their teams. Because see, in the industry, what I have experienced, getting entry into a good reputed design company is really really difficult,
It's tough.
right? When we started, there were very few folks in the industry,
Correct.
and over the years the industry has grown, and we have seen tremendous growth, right? We have seen new roles opening up, we have seen the service industry growing
Right.
rapidly. So with all of that coming in, opportunities coming in, obviously a lot of other um, people from other walks of life, other careers, they switched. And a lot of people tried to enter the
Right.
industry, and some
Right.
of them succeeded beautifully, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so So the whole point of starting this course is to help truly guide people, uh, to make them industry ready and to tell them that what really goes on, it's
Yeah.
not a very easy job. And so to give them some really good projects to work on.
Right.
So would love to
I,
have
I
some
think
closing thoughts
that's a
from
very
Raman, sir.
interesting problem that you guys are solving. There are a gap for sure. Everybody knows that whatever we are trying to solve, like from the industry point of view, when we try to hire people, we see the gap.
Yes.
Right? There are a gap, and nobody can deny. No, we have a lot of designer. We have a designer, but the better designer that we are looking for, that's the problem. And if you guys solving, if you're trying to mix it like from the real world, mixing real world problem along with the theory or the academia stuff, if that's we can align, that's going to be beautiful. I believe, thanking you guys that you are solving something real problem.
Thanks to you for
Thanks,
joining us
thanks,
today,
man.
and it's great to know that you are going to be part of the team here, that you're going to teach the students. So really,
Thanks.
really thank you for your time today.
Likewise.
Thank you.